Hey guys, and welcome to the 2021 Easton Foundation's Gator Cup. We are here in Florida with myself, Paige Pierce, and
Lexi Keller, super excited to get the gold medal matches started. And up first, we have Linda Anderson and Alexis Ruiz shooting for the compound women's gold medal match.
I think this is going to be a really good match between the two. We obviously shot out there with them all day. They both brought the heat today. And the wind actually let up a little bit, I'd say, in the last couple minutes. So I think it's going to be a pretty solid match between the two.
Yeah, it'll definitely be really fun to watch. These ladies are both super experienced on this stage, and especially like you said, we've been shooting out here on this field all weekend, and we'll hopefully see some good arrows down there.
So here we go. They're going to start. Who's going to lead us off?
Looks like Linda's shooting first.
Yep. So notice here at compound we are shooting 50 meters and there's only 20 seconds on the clock. So when you draw your bow back, there is definitely not time to let down. So every time they draw, they must find a way to get their release to fire.
That's a good X.
Yep. Good first arrow from Linda.
It's always nice to start off with that really solid shot, getting it there, and Alexis
good one from
like
Alexis
she's got a
as well.
Really good strong shot there too. Like I said, we don't have a lot of wind. You can see a little bit just with the wind sock.
Well,
but
and if you look, it's actually blowing left to right now, which earlier today it was right to left. So that looked like a good arrow too.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the things that's a little bit more tricky about this tournament is it does change directions.
A 9, it looks like, from Alexis.
So you do just really have to pay attention to those flags and the socks as you're shooting every arrow.
Yeah.
Good shot from Linda.
I can't see her target.
Like.
Okay, not sure on that one. Sorry, we couldn't see the target.
And Alexis shot another 10.
Yep.
So we got a 29 from Alexis, and
I know we can't see Linda's.
We'll
see here shortly. So, not a bad first end. I think that's a pretty solid start from both ladies. Like you said, walking out to the finals venue, there's often different wind, obviously more pressure than you just had on the practice range. So, it's nice to see them both head out and start off with like good arrows from the start. Anytime that happens, obviously your score is going to be higher, but it's going to help you build confidence because you're not out there frantically trying to click to then hit the middle.
Well, and then also sometimes, if there are any nerves that do kind of come up as you're stepping up to the line, I mean, you got your coaches behind you to kind of try and calm that. But if you can put up a couple really solid arrows and solid shots from the beginning, you're like, all right, I got it. Like now I can just keep in that rhythm and keep that groove going.
100%. So for compound, we score cumulative scoring for 15 arrows. So that was their first end of 3 arrows, and we're going to shoot. They will shoot 5 ends of 3 arrows in this match, 15 arrows total. It's out of a 150. So Linda did have a perfect 30 down there. Now that we can see the update.
30 to 29, and sometimes having a little bit of a lead right in the first end can get you a little bit more confident. But there's still so many arrows left in the match, and as we've experienced, like every single tournament, you never know. It can switch, and somebody can have the lead in the first end, and then turn around and
I've seen it switch almost every end out here, especially in a finals venue. And again, the one thing I think that the people watching at home maybe don't realize is how quick this 20-second alternating goes. Alexis is up first here, and she knows like I have to make a good strong shot. I don't have a lot of time, so I think it changes. Does your shot change out there? Like I know mine does a little bit. It looks like a 9 from Alexis, just off the 10.
Just off a little bit, and the wind did pick up. It looks like it's going straight away from them right now, which can sometimes be tricky.
With a hint of right to left, so that makes sense why she hit where she did.
Now it's just on the right side
Probably
of the 10,
a 10 from Linda.
Yeah. So you could tell Linda's already compensating for that.
Alexis, that one should have hung, so that should be a 10 on the left side. So Alexis is definitely getting a little bit of left drift here.
That one's just on the left side of the 10, it looks like,
I think it hung as well. Not bad considering the wind definitely picked up.
Same side over there on the left.
Yeah, I think that one's probably a 9 from Alexis.
So it can be a little tricky too when it's pushing you just to the, that one side of the 10 or, just barely off, because then in your mind,
good
you're
last arrow from Linda.
There's a lot on the line here. I don't want to overcompensate for it.
And one thing, I mean, shooting the Gator Cup and being on this field ourselves, I can definitely say is that sometimes you're aiming off and the wind still looks like it's blowing the same. And one arrow you'll drift way more, and another one you won't. And so, really learning to read the wind is challenging here, especially when you step onto a finals field. And not to mention, we did take a pretty significant break from when they shot last to now, and so the wind has changed a bit since the last time they were shooting in the semifinals.
So, and when you do have when you've taken such a break, you're coming back. A lot of times it can be an advantage as a higher seeded archer to give the first shot to your opponent if you know, okay, I'll probably be able to trust that they're gonna aim off a proper amount and give me kind of that good reference on what the wind is actually doing.
Yep.
Because as much as you watch the flags and as much as you watch the wind socks, it can give you a good idea if you're in tune with your equipment. But then still having somebody to actually put an arrow down range and say, okay, yes, this is actually what's happening down there, and then give you.
That makes it so much easier. Okay, so they just posted scores. Linda has a perfect 60 on the board right now to Alexis's 57. That may sound like a big gap, but honestly, with winds like this and a short time clock, I mean, it's not. Anything could still happen.
It's definitely doable. I mean, they're not even quite halfway through with the match yet, so.
Yep. So that was our second end. We've got 3 more to go. Cumulative scoring. Again, this is compound, so every arrow counts equally the same throughout the entire match. And then the way this works as well is Linda chose to shoot first initially, but then the archer with the lower score will always lead off each end. So Alexis will actually start off on this end.
And then when there does come, if there's a tie, then it'll go back to the original order.
Back to Linda because she chose to shoot first.
Just below.
Just like low for Alexis. Yep. Still not a bad arrow. Now the wind did die a little bit. Linda's been hugging right side, so we'll see if she makes that adjustment. No, she's still right
side, but it's on the safe side too. It's.
I think hers is probably good. See what Alexis can do. The wind's picking up a little bit again. I think that one's good.
Looks good.
Yeah, good 10. Linda's coming to full draw.
Nice on that right side. Looks like it's solid.
Yeah, I would say probably a 10 as well.
And it looks like she did just reach up and give her sight a couple clicks, so she looks
good.
pretty confident with where she's aiming. That one's a 9 just off the left as well. See if Linda can.
If Linda puts this one in here, that'll give her a little bit more cushion.
On that right side again.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a great group, though. She wins the group award for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's an impressive end. I feel like on that one, the wind did die. So you people always ask, do you click your sight, do you aim off, or bubble? And obviously, Linda had a few clicks in her sight as she's taking them back out as the wind dies.
Right.
I think Alexis chooses to aim off, from what I know of those two girls.
I do believe so, yes.
So, yeah, that was actually, not a bad end from either girl. They're doing great. So let's talk about their release style really quick, because obviously the wind is a big factor a lot of the times depending on how people choose to shoot their release.
Absolutely.
So both of these girls are shooting a back tension style shot. Alexis is using a hinge release. Linda does use a thumb. You'll notice, I'm assuming you guys have a close-up view of Linda. As she's shooting, you can see her wrap her thumb and execute, nice pull strong. So I wouldn't say wind-wise, if the wind does pick up, that either girl has an advantage over the other because they're both shooting the same shot style. Do you agree?
And I do definitely agree. And once you're comfortable with either style, if you've shot it for a long enough period of time, you know what you can do in those situations to use that style of release to your advantage.
To get through
both of them do have definitely advantages to them. So.
Yep. Yeah, I will say their shot timing's been very consistent. Both of them look very calm, collected. Like I said, quick, strong shots, which is usually what you want to see in a final. So Alexis is leading off. She has an 85 to Linda's 90 right now.
That one looks good.
10.
Good 10 on the left
just
side.
on the left. Let's see if Linda answers. Oh,
that one's.
I think it's a 9 from Linda.
I
don't know. 8, 9. I don't know.
And just talking about her timing, that shot ended up being a little bit longer.
Yep. Yeah, we can see the clock countdown on here, so we can kind of see what their average shot time looks like. Now, the wind is picking up on this arrow for Linda. She's just going to have to wait it out. Okay, 9 on the left.
Side.
Which makes sense. The wind is hard right to left right now. There wasn't a good change there. So this gives Alexis an opportunity to put this one in the middle and pick up a few points, and she does. So that's good.
Good 10.
So Linda just needs to make one good, strong one on this last one.
Just over the top, it looks like a little bit.
Yeah, so that was, I mean, obviously going into that with a 90, that was a rough end for Linda.
And
but
that kind of can...
That hurts your confidence a little, but they only have one end left now.
Yes.
And that was a much windier end than the end they had before. So, I mean, obviously that's going to give Alexis some hope
it
to
will
shoot
give her
strong.
A little bit, and she, at this point, she doesn't have anything to lose other than going up there and shooting the strongest shot she can, even if she's maybe a little bit with the wind, seeing her kind of drop out on the left side a little bit there.
Yeah, I definitely think with the switch that we just saw with that Alexis knows that she has to go up there and shoot a 30 if she wants any hope. And and being in Linda's position, as crazy as it sounds for me, it's always harder because it's your match to give away at that point.
Absolutely, yeah.
So she has a lot of pressure on herself. But I mean, considering how solid her first 3 ends were, I think she's going to come back nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those of you guys watching at home, we do have our comments here on YouTube and on Facebook. So, if you've got any questions or comments or anything just to shout out and say hi to us, hop on there, leave us a little comment.
Yep, ask us any questions that you want. So, this is their 5th and final end. Whoa, okay, 114 to 116. So, Linda's was an 8. So, that was 4 points for Linda in one end. Luckily, though, she had cleaned the rest. So Alexis will still start, but there's only a 2-point gap between the two girls right now.
And with the wind being as tricky as it is, this can
it's
literally
picking
go
up. So that was a good 10 from Alexis. It just picked up a lot for Linda's arrow. The one really hard part about these alternating matches is you've got 20 seconds, and if you get stuck in a wind gust, that's just how it goes. That's happening to her right now.
Another 8, it looks like, for Linda.
Yeah. Honestly, in that wind, that probably wasn't bad.
Yeah, I think she got caught just a little bit more than Alexis.
So with that, they're now tied with 2 arrows to go.
2 arrows to go.
Okay.
Alexis shoots a 9 out the left.
Yep. Barely, like just hanging 9-8 liner. So you can, I mean, they're getting a lot of drift out there compared to the prior ends.
Absolutely.
It's a good quick shot from Linda.
10, Linda.
Yeah.
She looked like she kind of found her timing a little bit more on that one, and she was smoking it when we had a little bit more windy ends. So she just needs to get back to that. Alexis answers with a 10, and
down. So what is it? 9 to win? Yep. Getting a little low on time. The wind's picking up.
5
Fight
seconds
it, Linda.
left, and there we are.
Did she do it? Yep.
She got it.
Yeah, that was
a little bit of a
pretty intense. So
Steve.
again, yeah, I'm sure Steve was pretty happy there. But honestly, that was really impressive. And this just goes to show, like, in the finals with the wind, like, there looked like there was a really big point gap until one end changed everything, and it really did come down to their last 2 arrows. They were tied going in.
Absolutely. So we do have a question more about their bows. What type do they use and why?
I'm going to skip the why. Obviously, everybody has their own personal preferences, especially shooting at the pro level. I'm not going to speak for them, but Linda is obviously representing Hoyt and Alexis is representing Elite. They also represent a bunch of other companies, many of which are different. And the next one we have, Lexi's. How much does the holding weight impact what's happening right now?
So I feel like especially in windy situations when you're trying, I mean, your bow weight, your stabilizer setup, that can all have an impact. But having more resistance on the back end is definitely going to be able to help you stay in your shot
It
better.
helps
and
you aim. It gives you something to pull against. Like, I believe
Exactly.
in wind holding weight is very critical.
It is definitely very critical, and especially for, you know, with women, being that we don't necessarily have the fastest
setup,
arrow
yeah,
speeds.
we need all the help we can
We
get.
do need that help. You know, and there is a line between not going overboard
Yep.
and giving up the control that you have in the shot as well.
For sure. Solid answer. So there you have it, guys. That was our women's compound gold medal match. Congratulations to Linda. That was a solid showing. So it ended up being, just so you guys know, a 1-point match, 144 to 143. So pretty impressive from both of those women. Like I said, good showing out there. That was some tough conditions with the wind, and I'm pretty proud. They both did awesome. They should both be really happy.
Yes. I don't think either of them would have been disappointed with, you know, obviously you want the win, but especially when the wind is tricky like that, walking away with either place is satisfying.
Yeah.
We did start out with not too much wind this morning.
Yep.
Then it got a little bit windier and then a little less, and sometimes that can be so much harder to overcome when it's tricky because you just can't count on anything. You can't be like, all right, I know where, like, how much I'm aiming off, and it does take a little bit more attention, a little bit more mental strain.
I think it does too. So as you can see, they're down there changing targets right now. We're getting set up for our next match. The second gold final we're going to have is compound men. And I think this is going to be a pretty epic show-off. These two guys are roommates here, so I'm going to assume the one that loses has to sleep in the hallway. No, I'm kidding. So we have...
Or maybe walk back to the hotel.
He'll walk back. So we have James Lutz and Braden Galantine. Braden representing Matthews, and Jimmy is representing Darton.
Newly representing Darton,
newly,
I believe.
So. And I think obviously he's doing really well with
getting along with the bow, it looks like, and comfortable both with where that's sitting at. So.
He qualified, top qualifier, so he will get to choose who shoots first or second. I'm just going to go ahead and guess he chose first.
Yep, it looks like it.
Yep, he's rushing a bit. And Braden struggled a little bit yesterday in the FIDA, more than what we're used to seeing for him, but he made some changes last night that were very necessary, and then he came out swinging today, and obviously what he did was
got the job done.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jimmy starts
first
off.
Shot looks like a really strong shot. Right side 10.
Yep.
And again, even for these guys that are used to shooting 10s, you know, that first
side
shot off
9 for Braden, and you instantly see him click his sights. So if you do notice, it's interesting, the flags on the right are heading left, and the flags on the left are heading right. So for them to read that wind right now, it's tough. Jimmy's in the middle there.
It looks like. Well, and also taking into consideration the practice targets were half a field away from our match targets. So
perfect X there from Braden.
With an X.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit different wind drift when you step out here onto this end of the field. So Jimmy's up with his third arrow. Can he do it?
Absolutely.
It looks like
Still
he did.
On the right side a little bit. Almost looks like what Linda started off with.
Yeah, no, definitely. So Braden's got one arrow left for the first end.
It looks like that click worked for him.
Yeah.
That one's good left and right as well.
Yeah. So in the guys' match especially, I think we're going to see a very small point spread through the match. And we talked about in the women's match how important it is to go out there and just really hope that your sight is set in the right spot. So as you can see, like, Braden will be down a point after this end. Probably not from a bad shot, just from, you know, a sight setting that wasn't right in the finals venue.
Or not knowing. I mean, and if you look out on the field as well, the target flags and the windsock don't always necessarily represent the same thing.
Yes.
So you kind of have to decide, all right, which one am I going to trust, which one am I going to go with?
Yep.
And a lot of times that first arrow of the match is kind of where you're seeing, which it's difficult sometimes to go out there and put up your absolute best shot from the very first get-go, but it's very super important to put that best shot out there
so that you can make quick adjustments.
Yep. Nope, that wasn't me. That was the wind. Now I know how I can compensate for it.
Yep. So this is a compound final, which means we are shooting at 50 meters, and it is cumulative scoring throughout the entire match. They're going to shoot 5 ends of 3 arrows, 15 arrows total, 10 points per arrow, so it's out of 150 points. They've shot one end. We have 4 more to go, and Jimmy does have a 1-point lead after the first end. So let's talk about their release styles real quick, because we did talk about that before. And in these windy conditions, these two guys shoot a very different shot. Braden is shooting a hinge release. I think he's pretty good at controlling it, though, I will say. Like, in windy conditions, Braden is one of the best in the world when it comes to the wind. But with that said, I would say Jimmy is equally as strong, and Jimmy definitely shoots a command-style shot, which can give him some advantages on a short time clock in some windy conditions.
Yeah, because, I mean, all you need is just that
10, I
looks like
think,
on the left
from
side, yep.
Braden. Should have
All you
hung.
need is that little bit of control to find that gap where the wind's not going to affect you quite as much.
And let her fly. And that's exactly what he just did.
Yep.
Good arrow from Jimmy right there.
There's a lot of people that frown upon punching styles or command styles.
Good 10 from Braden there. I feel like at this point in time, after watching everything Kyle Douglas has done, watching Jimmy come onto the scene hot, you can't really hate on it anymore. I always say, I want to see, Jimmy didn't like that. He threw it 9, I think, just off.
Just off.
You saw him throw his arm there.
I think he was a little bit more dramatic than what it landed. It was just, I mean, it was still really super close.
Yeah, a good 10 from Braden there. So now Jimmy needs to answer.
With a 10.
Yep.
And he does.
He does. Good. Cool.
So we're back to a tied match, even field.
Yeah. And like you said, there's still enough arrows left. Anything can happen. Obviously, these guys are shooting really solid out here. I think a lot of this match play stuff does come down to crazy windy conditions and who gets hit with that at what times.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you mentioned, they're roommates here, they're teammates. You know, they're friends, but on top of that, they still both want to win. Yeah, equally as much as the other.
It's an interesting dynamic. I feel like, you know, I mean, I can speak for us too. We've done it many times, and it's like you're friends 1 second, they blow the whistle, and now you're competitors, and it's a very neat thing to be able to turn that off and turn it on.
It is absolutely. I mean, you want the best for
your friend
everybody,
and your teammate, exactly, but you obviously want to win.
And that's where I think, you know, finding that balance and still supporting each other or, you know, encouraging each other is such an important thing, especially when, like, the same, for a lot of it, the same group of people travel to all the same tournaments. So you have to have that good relationship with one another.
Well, another cool thing that you'll notice here, the girls both had a coach in their coaching box. Before the match, Braden and Jimmy both just went to each other and said, coaches or no coaches? And they're like, nah, we don't need them. And so again, it's like because they're friends, because they respect each other, it's like we can do this ourselves and they're fine. My personal preference, I would want a coach just because the countdown is brutal. But both of these guys are so fast, they shouldn't ever need a countdown. If they do, there's some real bad wind.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of cool. They're just out there doing it by themselves, like together, you know?
Yep,
it's pretty neat.
Absolutely. All right, so Jimmy's leading this end off.
Yeah, so because they tied, Jimmy chose to shoot first, and in a tie, that does go back to the original archer that chose that.
And he puts up a solid 10.
Yeah. Good first arrow.
Be on the X.
Yep. Solid shot from Jimmy. Really explosive one from Braden. Very, very middle.
Landed where he wanted it to.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like from both of them, it's very easy to read their shots based off their follow-throughs and their shot styles. I just did see the wind hit Jimmy there. Nope, he still piped it. You heard the guy say, chuckle there. Yeah, because the wind hit him. I could see his arm move from here. Braden looks really solid right now. Yep, good 10.
Left side 10.
They do have a little bit of tailwind at the moment, which is different from what we've had any other ends. And what was that?
A little bit.
We can't actually
see where that landed.
It's behind his fletchings from the angle that we have, but.
And Braden has a 10. So it looks like.
I'm going to assume Braden gained some there from that third arrow.
Either 1 or 2 points.
Yeah. I couldn't exactly tell where it is. Yeah, 9 or 8. We'll know here in just a minute.
Binoculars here.
Oh yeah, here we go. Check it out for us. That way we know. So the cool thing too about these finals matches is they have arrow agents down there that actually score and pull the arrows. They have runners.
Advocate for them if there's a close one. And
there is a judge down there to make a call.
A little bit high.
9 or 8.
I'm gonna probably say an 8 for right now.
Okay. So we'll see what they call it.
We'll see what they
Obviously, we're a
call
ways
it.
away looking through a fence at the moment, but we'll see what they call it. So, again, still a very close match. And a lot of the times, like, and this could be a reach, I'm not sure. It could have just been Jimmy's sight. But if you have a command style shot and you're a little bit weak on the back wall on a shot, it's very typical that it tends to go a little bit high. So that could have been something, or just wind, floats up, breaks, whatever it is. But
because when you do have a little bit weaker of a shot, typically you're coming
a little bit off
either
the wall,
off the wall or just in the front of
solid
the
into it.
wall.
Yep.
And then on top of that, when you do come off the wall, it changes your front hand position, and it'll change the direction of where your hand is coming, your release hand is coming off of your face.
Basically, your whole shot falls apart if that happens. And again, I don't know if that's what happened, but a lot of the times if I'm watching a command style shooter and they do shoot one high, I'm always like, oh, they're probably a little weak on the back end. Jimmy did tell me earlier this week, he's up now, but he did say that he was trying something out where he was pulling a lot harder into the back wall than normal, and he said it's really working for him, and it did on that arrow. So I think before he said he just shot very relaxed on the back end, and he's like, I'm going to put some pressure on it, and it's been solid. Good arrow from Brayden.
I'm absolutely sure that in the wind, that's definitely bringing him up yet another level to where
I think it probably steadies his bow, makes his back wall more consistent.
And especially when you
that's a good one.
Are a little bit more of a command shooter, aiming is big for you. Because if it's not in the
huge.
middle, your brain's like, I don't want it to go off yet.
Yes. Brayden, I've always been amazed watching him shoot in the wind. Good 10, as I say that. Dude, he's just a savage when it comes to wind shooting. We've always said that. Like, Brayden's one of the guys you just don't want to shoot against when the wind picks up. And it's impressive because he does it shooting a hinge. That was a 9 from Jimmy, just high left. There's some wind down there.
It is a tailwind as well.
Which does some crazy stuff to your arrows. Good 10 from Brayden. I could see that one just from his release.
And it's hard to tell because Brayden does a lot of his compensating internally, so he knows, okay, I'm aiming off, but his facial expressions and his composure during the match is just always really consistent, which obviously is what got him where he is, and to, like you said, one of the best wind shooters in the world. And we can just dial that right in. So, do we have any questions?
So Jimmy's, he has an 87. So from last time, looking at their scores. So it was 87-89 going into this end. Looks like Brayden had a 30. Jimmy dropped another point.
So it should be a 3-point gap?
Yeah. We'll have a 3-point gap going into this next end. They're both shooting really solid, though, considering, like I said, the wind's tricky. It did switch just from the women's match to now. They're having a completely different wind direction.
Yeah. And if that one arrow of Jimmy's was an 8, he's still shooting 10s.
Yep.
So his score, it's 3 points down, but really he only dropped 2 more 10s than Brayden did.
Yep. Because that one was an 8. Yeah, anytime that they can walk out into a finals venue, and I mean, Brayden's posting a 119 right now. That's just so impressive, especially with the conditions. It's been a long day.
Yeah,
this isn't like the first match of the day. They've shot through a lot of matches to get here, and
they had a full field to start out with.
Yep. So pretty impressive just to be able to watch the final 2 have this showdown. So this is their
last
3 arrows. Because Jimmy's down, Jimmy's going to go ahead and start. And really, with that, what that does is puts pressure on Brayden to have that last arrow be where it needs, because Jimmy will be done and Brayden still has one to go.
So
good arrow from Jimmy.
That's what you need to do in these last ends, like you said, to put the pressure on.
Yep. And if Brayden thinks anything like me,
left side, still looks
good 10. I usually think in a situation like this, you've got 3 points to play with. It's like stuff the first 2, and then the pressure's kind of off.
A little bit off, yeah.
So, and really what Jimmy knows that he has to, Jimmy, his arrow's off the rest. Oh no, he ran out of time. Oh goodness. Okay, we hate to see that. So he drew back, he didn't anchor, he was trying to use his mouth.
Look at the sportsmanship right now.
That's insane. So Jimmy didn't get his arrow off, and Brayden just threw his arrow in the dirt. Wow.
Absolutely gives me chills.
That's so cool.
Love that.
I know, I literally have goosebumps. All right. Good arrow from Brayden. Yeah, right with his other one. Good 10. Yes, guys. That's so cool.
Absolutely incredible. I love seeing that.
Brayden is going to be our 2021 Gator Cup champion with the Sportsmanship Award, too. Wow, that's insane.
I didn't quite see if it was just on anchor, if his arrow fell off of the rest.
So it fell inside first, from what I could see, and so he was trying to use his mouth on his veins to pick it up and put it back on the rest.
Shorter arrow, so he can't just do it with his finger.
Most of us do. I know I do out here.
Yep.
Indoor, different story, but for outdoor it's tough. And what he did, he caught it with his mouth, missed the rest, and then it fell off the left side, and then fell off his string. So he let down.
And by that time, he had 3 seconds left.
Yeah,
and
2 seconds.
No
yeah,
way
you're
to
a
get
goner.
another one off.
That is, like nobody ever wants to see that happen in a match. But what Braden did is like the true definition of sportsmanship. I do just want to point out there that we have World Cup trials going on all the time, and that just killed Braden's arrow average for the day.
It killed his arrow average for the
USAT points World Cup ranking for this tournament, but that was probably one of the coolest things we're going to see out there today. So again,
absolutely.
Those guys are friends. They're competitors, but they're friends, and I think that's like the perfect display of that right there. So that's awesome. Congratulations, Braden. I feel like that was well deserved, and that sucks for Jimmy, but he still got second.
He still got second. They put some great arrows down there, and we said at the beginning of this it was going to be a great show no matter what, and it really, honestly, truly was. So.
That one was exciting. Congratulations, guys. That was really impressive. Super impressive. So now we're going to have a little bit of time because they are going to reset the field to 70 meters for the recurve matches. That will conclude compound finals matches.
Is it for our Gator Cup 2021 tournament.
For compounds,
anyway. And we've got 2 more matches for the recurve. So while we are waiting for them to turn the field, let's see.
We're going to answer some questions here.
We got some encouragement. Come on, Jimmy. What? Paige ain't competing.
What? Who said that?
I've got it
are you on YouTube
here.
Paige took third. Alexis kicked my butt in the semifinals.
You guys had some good scores.
We did,
too. And that was when the wind was picking up.
It came down to the last arrow too. So I mean, what do you do about that? She beat me. She earned it. Yep. So yep, I'll take my 3rd place and my USAT points.
Yeah,
we'll go
absolutely.
from there.
I mean, you had a great qualification too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
no, it's been good.
Not a failed weekend by any stretch.
No. I mean, we've all been shooting strong. I will say, man, the women's scores have been incredibly impressive. The men's scores on qualification were really impressive too, because there was some wind. Looking at their scores, you wouldn't have known that, but there was. You would not have
known that, and there were quite a few of them that were able to pick up some bonus points for our World Championships team trials, shooting.
Which is not easy to do. Those scores are very high,
and they set them high for the bonus points to push you and
to
separate
make it worth
the
men from the boys, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yes.
And that's what it did. So no, it's pretty cool. So moving forward, now we're going to head into the recurve matches. These are going to be at 70 meters. As we said, obviously you can see the target face size is much larger due to the distance. And I would say from the 2 styles, recurve is a much more challenging style. Obviously no cams, no cables. What I always say is you're just working with a stick and a string.
You're working with, and it takes a lot more, I feel like, muscle control and awareness of where your muscles are moving.
Yep.
And just it's a different art. It's a different game.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm always very impressed watching the recurve shoot, just because I know how difficult it really is, how much time and effort they put in. Not to take that away from anyone shooting compound. Obviously, that's very difficult too, but it is easier to get good faster with a compound than it is a recurve.
Yep, you do have a little bit more assistance there. I mean, it's called a release aid for a reason.
Yes.
But these girls that we got coming up here in the gold medal match, Casey Caulfield and Mackenzie Brown will be shooting for the gold medal. And again, another example of good friends and good sports.
Yeah. And a lot of experience too. I feel like if you want to go solely off experience, I would say Mac is probably the more experienced archer so far in a finals venue, but that's only because Casey just came out swinging, came in hot, and has climbed from, here to the top so quickly.
Yep, absolutely.
I've seen her do some pretty miraculous things not just in a finals venue, but just on all sorts of
Yeah.
fields and different things. And so I think it's going to be a really good match between these girls.
And both of these girls put in the time.
Yeah, they do.
They put in the time and they put in the effort, and they truly do have a passion for the sport.
Yeah, they love what they're doing. And I think that makes a world of difference too. So this is actually a rematch from Arizona Cup.
Yes.
They did have a pretty epic showdown there at Arizona Cup where Casey walked away with the win. So, I mean, you would definitely think, like, okay, this is the rematch. Mac's going to want to come back here. Casey's going to try to fight for that title because she knows it's going to be a fight anytime she's shooting against Mac.
And it looks like Mackenzie is going to be shooting first on target 1.
So this is a 20-second alternating clock. So each archer is going to have 20 seconds to shoot their arrows, and each end is going to be 3 arrows. So Mac's going to start us off right here.
Good.
Whoa,
10 to start
10.
off with at 70 meters.
Wow.
The wind did die a little bit, but it's still there. They gotta play with it a little bit. And Casey looks like she answers with a 10.
Yeah, I think that's a 10 too.
But we'll have to see once they get down there and the score.
And,
it might be a 10 as well. A little bit at 1 o'clock. It's gonna be a little bit harder.
Okay. Oh, that's
a good 10.
I saw that one. All right, 10 from Casey. Gosh, they're shooting so fast.
They are shooting a little bit fast. We gotta keep up with it.
We can't even. Yeah, there's no talking in between. We're just gonna call arrows. That might be another
good 10, I think. Yeah,
this
might be a hot match here.
You can definitely tell the speed is different from before.
Oh, and then that one's a 7, I believe, out left.
So let's talk about set points because that is something that makes recurve matches very interesting. So basically what it means is that
instead of a cumulative score,
yes,
you have to win the end.
Yes. So they're competing for the 3 arrows, and then the winner each end of total cumulative points that end will get 2 set points.
Yes.
If they tie, they each get 1 set point.
Correct.
If you lose the set, you get nothing. So they're competing to hit 6 set points.
The first person to hit 6 set points wins the match. If they do end up kind of fighting back and forth, they can end up 5-5 in a shoot-off. Otherwise, if one of the opponents wins every end or has more points every end, it can be over in 3 ends.
So
it can be over
we
in
could
9
see
arrows.
this go 5 if they tie in one end, but if not, if someone wins, like you said, wins 3 straight, they could be done in 3 ends. So that is different. Now, what's interesting about set points is it's not always the archer with the highest cumulative score that wins the match.
Right.
For example, Casey just had a 8-7, whatever that was, down there on her last arrow. But if she comes back and shoots a 30 and Mac shoots a 29, Casey would take the set, yet Mac would still be winning in cumulative points.
Yeah.
So that's just one thing to consider with set points. It's not always the person who scored the best overall that wins the match.
Yep.
More often than not it is. But every once in a while you see one of those matches where something crazy happens and it doesn't work out like that.
And I think that's where maybe, some frustrations might come from that. Just knowing, I scored better, but I still didn't win. So
what was that?
8-7
liner from Casey for her first arrow. What's interesting, she actually hit into the wind. Actually no. Look at the 2 flags.
Yep. Yeah. They're
That's
definitely
crazy.
contradicting each other a little bit.
9 from Mac.
9.
So
same
the flags,
direction though.
Yes. So clearly they got a little bit of right drift there, but one flags are like one side's going right to left and the other side's left to right. 9. High 9 from Casey. If I was her, yeah, she's clicking her side a little bit. Solid decision. She's been a little bit tall. Still can't get over how fast they actually shoot.
Solid 10. It looks like.
Yep.
Casey's last arrow of the end.
Casey's got
7. So
7. Okay.
Depending on
left.
what Mac puts up on this end, she might take yet another set. Shot goes off, looks smooth, and that looks
She
good.
should have it. I think that's an 8. So 10, 9,
but it
8.
Would still
she will still win the set.
Still take the set.
So that will then put Mac up 4-0 on Casey. So what that means after this, going into the next set, if Mac wins the next set, she wins outright. If they tie, then Casey would basically have to tie and then win and win.
Yeah.
To then have a tie.
Exactly.
So it's just a very interesting scoring dynamic, I think, because you never want to start down. I feel like 2-0 is one thing, but when you're down 4-0,
Yep.
I mean, you
have
have
to put a lot of
straight
work.
come back and kill it.
You got to do a lot of work
Yep.
to climb back, and not comparing the two, but in compound, okay, I've got 15 arrows.
Yeah, and
to
every
lose
arrow
or
counts.
win the match.
Yep.
Every arrow counts, but in set points, you don't know how many arrows you have.
Yeah, you don't know. And I don't want to say every arrow doesn't count, but sometimes you may have already lost that set before you've even shot your third arrow.
Right.
You don't even need to shoot your third arrow. You already know you've lost the points that match.
Yep.
Obviously, sportsmanship, you shoot it.
You should shoot it.
But
yes.
you don't have to. I mean, you already,
You're like, all right,
that
I'm not
end's
coming
already
back.
decided.
And then at that point, you're using it maybe to
gauge learn where to
or,
aim. Yeah, make a strong shot.
Make a strong shot. Do something different so that you can feel, where your back is moving or what's going on.
Yeah, whatever you need to do. So
Casey will lead off in this set.
So because Casey's down, she will start. And again, that will put some pressure on Mac on that final arrow.
Nice,
that was a good start.
To start off with, absolutely. And
That's what she
looks like
needs
she's planning on putting the pressure on.
Yeah, no joke. What was that? 9 from Mackenzie. So good. All right, Casey's up again. Wind picked up a little bit. Oh, good 10. All right.
Yep.
So she wants it. She's fighting for it. Okay, now Mac's definitely getting hit with a little bit more wind. Oh,
that was a good,
I'm impressed.
Good shot.
Yeah, another 10. So cool. They're doing pretty awesome.
If Casey hits a 10 here.
Oh, that was not as clean of a shot.
8-9 liner. So depending on what they call that.
And depending on Mackenzie's last arrow.
Which is a 10 stuffed right next to her other one. So that liner that we can't exactly see might be what determines the match, actually. Yeah,
so we're going to have to wait and see what they call it. Both girls are shooting really, really good. Recurve is very challenging, like we said earlier. It's a stick and a string, but they're also using their fingers.
Yes.
So it looks, I'm thinking they think the match is resolved, because I did just see the girls hug.
So then their coaches have spotting scopes as well,
so
they can maybe see a little bit better.
A little better. So I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that Mac won this set. And yes, definitely, based off the girls' body language right now, Mackenzie definitely won the set, which means she will be our 2021 Gator Cup champion. So as we said, this was a rematch between the two girls from Arizona Cup. Casey walked away with the win, and then now Mackenzie did. So I think it's pretty neat. These two girls are both so good, and to see them competing against each other at the highest level in finals matches almost every tournament is pretty cool. I think they definitely push each other to be better, and that's what we want. That's what we want to see. They're teammates, they're friends, and they both represent the same bow company. So, no, good showing from both girls.
Absolutely. Teammates on more than one aspect of it. So. No,
definitely.
So they both have such good attitudes, about going into the match. They do know that either one of them is capable. Yeah. As we literally have seen this year so far, and in their whole careers, both of them are very capable of putting up the arrows and putting up the scores to take the win.
And I would say they're both, training at peak right now. They do have Olympic trials coming up. The Olympics are not far off. Obviously, both those girls want a chance to be the one that's going to the Olympics, because right now we only have one spot for the girls. So, as you can see, they're both working hard. They want it. They're fighting for it. And I think what's really neat is having these tournaments and these gold medal finals really gives them the ability to practice under pressure, which is only going to make them better on the World Cup stage, at our trials, and at the Olympics. So I think this is really cool. Awesome shooting, ladies. So we have one match left this afternoon at the Easton Foundation's 2021 Gator Cup, and it's going to be the Recurve men.
We have Brady Ellison and we have Zach Garrett.
Yep. So I think this is going to be a pretty good showdown. Both of these guys are used to a finals venue. They've been in it many times. They've shot against each other many times.
Olympians.
Yeah, both Olympians. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good showing.
And it's interesting. It will be interesting to see how what the wind does for them.
Yep.
And then we can maybe talk a little bit about their setups.
Yeah.
And
So wind drift from recurve to compound. Obviously, recurves are shooting 70 meters at bow speeds much slower. So their wind drift is a lot more. So in the same wind conditions, they might be aiming off in the 6 ring, where a compounder might be aiming tweener 9. And so, middle 9, sorry, those of you that don't know the term tweener. So I think it's very impressive to me when the recurves shoot so well in windy conditions because their bows are slower and they're shooting farther. So I know that they have to read the wind very well.
they do. And we talked a little bit about this earlier as far as what holding weight does for you in the wind.
Yep.
And recurves are holding everything.
Yes, they have
hold
all the
of
weight
it.
back. They have no
They have
cam
all of
system
the-
to
all of the
alleviate that
holding
weight.
Which might help them
Mhm.
aim a little bit
Better?
slower in the wind.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will say I've heard Brady say firsthand that he actually aims better with his recurve than he does his compound, and it's seriously the holding weight. So
If
that's
you're conditioned for that, and your
Yeah.
muscles are where they need to be to hold that back steadily.
yeah, then it can be a benefit. If somebody who wasn't used to that tried to hold 45 pounds of holding weight, yeah, not so much.
Yeah,
48,
that'd
whatever
probably
the
be a
crazy
struggle.
stuff they're shooting, yeah, wouldn't work. But they've been doing this literally hundreds of arrows a day at this point, with the Olympics coming up and Olympic trials being in full swing right now. So, yeah, it's going to be an impressive showdown. It is still windy here. So this is recurve. They're shooting 70 meters, and we are going to be shooting set points. So what that means is they're not shooting cumulative score throughout the match. What they're going to do is compete against each other every end, and then from there, the winner of the end either gets 2 set points, the loser gets none. If they tie, 1 point each. So it's interesting scoring. So they're out introducing the guys right now. So Brady is going to shoot first on target 1. So let's talk about why, so far, the highest ranked archers chose to shoot first every single match.
I think there's a couple different strategies that people use when asking, or deciding if they want to shoot first or second. Shooting first definitely puts the pressure on your opponent. If you put a good arrow downrange, they know that they have to match or beat that. So it definitely gives a little bit, plays a little bit of a mental.
Good 10 from Brady.
Game.
We are having a few people say we're kind of hard to hear, so we'll try and talk a little louder. We'll put the headsets a little closer to our mouths. Hopefully that helps. So Zach's up for his first arrow right now. And it's a 7.
7, it looks like. A little bit left, which the wind did kind of switch, coming right to left now.
It did.
And Brady puts another good arrow down there.
I think it's a 10.
9-10 liner?
Yeah.
Looks like a 10 to me, but I'm not the judge down there. So.
No, yeah. It is hard to tell from here. 9.
9 for Zach.
Yep. So Brady really just needs to put one good strong shot down there to secure this set. So the nice part about going first, Brady just did that and he's done. So this is one of those examples we talked about earlier where Zach has already lost this set.
Right.
We know that. So this arrow literally means nothing. And you'd think there's no pressure, but I think those are mentally some of the hardest arrows that I've ever shot when we did have set points.
Puts a spider X down there.
Solid arrow.
Very solid. And it can kind of be an opportunity to get your confidence back, too, to say, okay, yeah, I can put a good arrow down there. Now I just need to do that next time.
Pressure's off for that end. So I feel like it's easy to be like, all right, let's execute a good one, do what we need to do to get back on track. So the interesting thing about set points is that 7 isn't going to hurt Zach, other than he lost this set. But starting the next set, all the archers are squared at 0, and they're competing just off those 3 arrows at a time. So Brady will lead after this set 2-0 in set points. But if Zach puts together another good end, he can be right back in it. So because they're not shooting cumulative, if they do happen to have a flyer, it doesn't kill them for the whole match.
No,
they can easily come back.
They can come back from it. I mean, sometimes they can even come back, that end if they do have a flyer.
Yep.
But the set points give them a little bit more opportunity to catch up. We have a comment here that says, read Texans comments. I don't think they'll be paying any attention to the comments. We're paying attention to you guys.
Yeah,
we're just paying
trying.
attention to archery in front of us too.
I just saw Jimmy comment, oops. Jimmy, that was an oops. That was an oops. Okay, let's see if they're saying anything. Volume.
Yeah, the volume. We're doing what we can here with the
Yeah.
volume, guys. It is kind of hard because we don't want you to catch some of this wind that's coming.
They said
through the
Paige's mic's
mics.
fine. Check Lexi's wire or move the mic closer to your mouth.
I'm like almost
Yeah, we're like we're touching.
touching my mic, so you'll just have to read my lips.
Yeah, we'll talk louder. Neither of us have ever been accused of being quiet.
I
so
don't think,
if they can't hear us, it's not our fault. Okay, so here we go. So the way this works, Brady chose to shoot first, but because Zach is down, he will actually shoot first. So the lower scoring archer will always lead each end. And that's an 8, maybe a 9 from Zach.
Yeah, that one's
On the line, maybe.
close.
We'll have to let the judges call that. And a good 10, it looks like, from Brady. Wow, he's shooting very solid right now. Zach's up. There's a little bit of wind picking up, and it did change. It's left to right now.
That's
9,
a 9
and you can see his arrows are on the right side. That makes sense with the wind change.
And it can be a little difficult as well if you draw back and then the wind switches.
Ooh, that's
to know what it's doing. That was a good shot.
9 or a 10. It's kind of behind his other shaft. We can't exactly see. One thing I will say about Brady, obviously he's not just the best in our country right now, but he's pretty much the best in the world. He's incredibly impressive. But one thing that I think really sets him apart is how good he reads the wind. As we said, bow speeds are slower, distance is farther when they're shooting a recurve, and so the fact that he reads the wind, good 10. Right in the middle, as well as he does, example A, is incredible to me. And I think that's one thing on the windy days you'll a lot of the times see Brady excel. And he does. He just reads the wind very well.
And it can be a little bit more tricky when the wind is switching so much, if it switches once you're at full draw. And those, I think, are the instances where it's helpful to have a coach standing behind you so that they can say, hey, wind switch directions, aim left 9, kind of give you a little bit more of that direction versus just going out there and trying to do it by yourself, which you are doing it most of the time by yourself when you're in elimination match play. But in these instances where you don't have time to let down, you don't have time to glance over necessarily. You
have a 20-second shot clock, and your focus is get up, aim at the middle, and shoot your bow. You know, there isn't time so much to think about the other stuff. At least from my experience, standing out there while the other archer is shooting, I'm sitting there studying the wind. And then when I go to draw back, I'm pretty much committed to whatever I decided in the last 10 seconds, and that's what we're going with. And
now, do you ever look and see where your opponent's arrow impacts, just for direction wise, not necessarily caring about score so much, because you can't do much about that?
No,
but just
I do. And here's what's really hard is to know, did it drift or did their arm drift and break there? Because in the wind, you're not just fighting the arrow drift, the wind is also pushing you. And
absolutely.
So if there's something where I can see they broke a good clean shot and you can see their arrows drift, absolutely.
Or you hear them look back at their coach and go, what happened?
What was that? Yeah. I'm going to aim on the safer side.
Usually. So kind of just get an overall picture.
Okay, so Zach is going to lead us off again. Brady's up 4-0 after that set.
That's a good
and
10 down there.
10. So Zach really does need to win this set.
Yes, if he wants to stay alive in this match.
If they tie, he's still alive for another end, but he definitely wants to win
Brady
this.
has an X.
Yep.
He's not given much room.
I was going to say, Brady's not going to make it easy for him. Zach looks a little more comfortable now.
I think the wind's a little bit more manageable.
Yep.
And that's a 10 on the left side.
Should be.
Looks good.
Kicked in his favor. See if Brady answers. As always, Brady's just so solid. It's crazy to watch.
That one? 9-10 liner?
Yeah.
It's hard to see what the shadows
were. Alright. This is a 20-second alternating clock, so they do have to shoot quick, strong shots. There are no letdowns. Zach did throw his bow.
And that was an 8, so it looks like.
So on that one, you saw him try to save it. Yeah. He really needed this set. And so Brady just needs to put it in there to win.
And he puts a 9 down range.
So we actually need to wait and let them call the arrows. But
yes,
the athletes and coaches do have spotting scopes, so they're probably going to let us know what is happening.
Yep. And it did look like there was a little bit of a handshake or encouragement there, so it could be over, but it's not over until the judge calls it.
Coaches are shaking hands. So unofficially, Brady
unofficially.
won that set, therefore he'll have 6 set points. To Zach's 0 set points, they are competing to hit 6, which means Brady should be our Easton Foundation's 2021 Gator Cup champion. Yep. That's pretty impressive. I must say I don't expect much less from Brady. I know how hard he's been working, and some
they
of the
did call
scores he's
Brady
been posting.
the winner of the match.
Yep,
So
it's official now. So I think both these guys put up a great showing. That was a really
Absolutely.
tough match, like we said, 70 meters, set points, wind,
Yep.
with a recurve. They're shooting with their fingers. Like, there's so many challenges that recurve has, and I think both those guys just showed us how good you can get if you put the hard work in.
Absolutely. I mean, all of our archers today put up a spectacular showing. We
Yep.
had some incredible sportsmanship shows here today.
Super exciting finals matches, which it usually
to
is.
watch.
The depth
Yes.
of archers that we have here in the U.S. is impressive, and I think they showed us nothing shy of that today.
Absolutely. It was great to be watching. So we hope you guys enjoyed at home. Keep leaving comments. We'll
Answer as we can.
we'll answer as we can if you're watching the replay.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, this is the 2021 Gator Cup, and
we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Bye.
Cool.
Good?
We rocked it. There we go. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's pretty good. It's like we've done this once before.